great, great. Feels good to win.
Was this a relief or excitement for
You know, I wouldn't say relief. I think that just you know, we had a great week of practice this week. We were all dialed in. We stayed zoned in on what the task was. Nobody blinked, and you know, that's why I think we were able to win this game. This game was definitely a crazy one. There's a lot of, you know, it felt like a crazy NFC West, you know, battle. Obviously going back and forth between two great teams, but we remained neutral along the way. You know, didn't get too high, didn't get too low. We were able to, you know, execute when we needed to. Had some key third down conversions and everything else, and obviously scoring in the red zone was huge for us. You know, that was really great to see Etcher score a touchdown, his first touchdown. To see Tyler Lockett make that great catch in the back corner was a really special play. DK had some great catches too as well. Adrian Peterson, I mean, come on, you know, like think about this. I was fortunate to be able to hand off the ball to Adrian Peterson, where you know, he ties Jim Brown. I mean, just what a remarkable experience just for me personally. Just I've been able to play with some amazing players, and to be able to hand off the ball to Adrian Peterson to let him score there was pretty special. I've always admired his work ethic and everything else. So I thought the line did a great job battling, you know, against a really good defensive line. We kept going there, kept battling. Guys made some tremendous plays. How about Homer's touchdown? The defense was lights out, making plays. Just seeing the turnovers they were able to get, that was key. And I think the fans were amazing tonight too as well. That really helped as well, especially in that last little stretch of the game.
You mentioned third down. I think you were 0 for 4 to start, and then it was like 5 of 7 on those touchdown drives. What changed for you guys as an offense?
We had some almost plays on the first half, just barely, just short of it or whatever it may be, and then we had a couple of long distances in the first half, third and long. So, you know, those are going to happen. We're not going to usually convert those, but when we were able to, you know, have a good first and second down plays, stay in manageable situations, we were able to convert on those third downs. We got hot in the second half, made a lot of those, and then in red zone we were lights out when we needed to be. That's what it's got to be.
What did you say, the pass to DK on the 3rd and 14, what did you kind of see there on that play?
Well, we wanted to back it up. That's why we took the delay of game. We wanted to back it up so we could get a little further on the go ball. No, but yeah, DK did a tremendous job of just slide stepping and got inside the guy, and you know, normally I could throw one of those moon balls down the field, but you know, I was able to put the ball kind of more on the line, kind of line drive throw, just so he could fit it in there to him. He makes a great catch. He almost got in the end zone, and then we ended up scoring in that drive.
Russ, say anything to Gerald Everett? I mean, it was a rough day for him with basically 3 turnovers on him with the 2 fumbles and the dropped touchdown and all that. How did you kind of manage to do that with him, and how rough was it to see that from him today?
Well, you know, the one thing I told Gerald is I always will believe in him. He's a tremendous football player. He's been great for us this season. I went over to him, just talked to him. You know, you're going to help us throughout this game and throughout this rest of the season. Just keep your head clear, you know. And so, you know, I have no doubt what Gerald Everett's going to do, how he's going to respond. He's a competitive warrior guy out there, man. He's a tremendous football player. You guys have seen what he's been able to do for us all season. So the one guy you don't have to worry about is Gerald Everett and what he's going to bring back to the table and how he's going to play.
Had a couple of those late game, the opponent's driving, defense needs to stop. Obviously, the defense is out there doing their thing. What's it like for you on the sideline watching that play out?
Yeah, well, I always believe. You know, I think that's the first thing, and it always takes great belief. And I think our whole sideline, you know, believe in our defense and be able to come up with a huge stop. You know, just seeing, you know, when you got a guy like Bobby Wagner out there, you always know something's going to happen, you know, and just, you know, just because of good feelings. And then Carlos Dunlap made some huge plays there just to knock the ball down. I mean, that's why he's here. You know, he's been one of the best in the world at it for a long time. So I thought our defense just, you know, kept battling, and the fans were great, like I said. And so for me, I just stay focused on getting ready just in case they score. You know, and for me, I just remain neutral, stay focused on what I may have to do. You know, and then, you know, if we get the ball back because they score or something like that, then that's kind of my mentality. But what I do know is our defense is hopefully going to be able to come up with a huge stop, and they did it. They did it once again.
What was the effect of the team meeting last night and everyone explaining their whys? What is your why?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool last night. You know, Tyler was able to talk to our whole team about, you know, our why. You know, why do we play, and guys went around the room and were able to talk about their whys, and it was really touching, really special to hear from guys about, you know, why they play the game, where's it come from, what's the depths of it all, and some really amazing stuff. You know, for me personally, you know, I think number one why for me is, man, God's given me a talent, and it's to glorify Him. That's the number one reason why I get to do this and why I love doing it. Playing for him. I think the second part of it is obviously my family. I think about, obviously Sierra, my kids, future Sienna win, but also, my brother, my sister, my mom, what an amazing woman she is and how she's been able to be such a rock in my life. And she's always texting me early in the mornings, late at nights, just giving me some amazing advice, and just giving me scripture and just feeling my spirit. So my mom's always been amazing at doing that, and that's always been a key part of it. And then, I think about the early mornings with my dad, why I do it. I think that, when I think about my dad, I know that he wishes he would be here. And like I always tell you guys, he's got the best seat in the house. So, but I think that when I think about that, I think about my family, my closest people in my life, I do it for them, And then, at the same time, I'm a self-motivator. Every day I wake up, I'm trying to be great, and that's in anything I do. That's you have to wake up with that mentality, in the midst of storms, knowing that, like I said to you guys earlier in the week, consider it pure joy when go through trials and tribulations, because the testing of my faith that builds perseverance. And I think that in the midst of stuff, midst of storms, I just keep my head clear. And I think the final part is that, the last part of the why is, I've been fortunate to come play in this game. I'm 5'11", right at 5'11", and to be able to play this game and to be able to do it and to know, that a lot of other great quarterbacks and players and now, have more opportunity because of some guys before me, and also because of just me going after it every day. And I think that's something that I want to give hope to every boy, every girl in the world, that, why not you? And so I think that's, as you guys saw my cleats today, I have the Why Not You on the side, Why Not You Academy, all that stuff. That's part of it for me every day, is just trying to be an inspiration for somebody else who says, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not any good anymore, you're not this, you're not that. Well, I think that if you keep the right perspective and you always believe, why not? Why not you? So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful God's given me the opportunity to do it.
How much more dialed in, Russ, did you feel this week?
I felt dialed in the weeks before. I think that you're just getting back into the groove of it all, and I think back to, I've never missed a game, in any sport, so you get back to the field, and we played some really good football teams too, so there's some challenges there, but obviously, I think that I just stayed the course. I think mentally I was so locked in, physically, everything else too, and so it's fun. I told you guys earlier in the week, what I really wanted to focus on this week was just joy, just joy, just bringing joy to the facility, joy in the midst of everybody talking stuff about us and everything else. It's just, we get to play this amazing game, this amazing game called football that we we're gifted to be able to play it. And so for me, I just wanted to bring joy, because that's who I am. That's my mentality. That's what I love to do. And, I'm competitive as can be, but also I love trying to bring joy and peace and also too, at the same time, I love winning, I love the process of it all. So what I did this week was just stay focused on the process, nothing else. Like I told you guys earlier in the week, I had a great, former head coach tell me, NFL coach tell me, you're gonna be Hall of Famer, have a Hall of Fame demeanor. Have a Hall of Fame demeanor all week. He said to me, have a Hall of Fame demeanor. He said, have a Hall of Fame week, have a Hall of Fame day, have a Hall of Fame breakfast. That's got to be your mentality every day, And so that was. I mean, I'm always thinking about it, but that was really clear for me what I needed to be like all day, all week, and all the noise and everything else is just, stay focused on what I need to do. And I know what kind of player I am. I know what kind of throws I can make. I know what we can do. And I'm just going to keep swinging.
What's a Hall of Fame
if
breakfast?
you said that Thursday, who was the coach?
Say again?
Who was the coach that said
I'm going to keep that tight. Somebody close to me. Yeah.
Hall of Fame breakfast.
Man, well, I didn't have any eggs. I just had bacon, sausage, had some acai bowl, a little shake, so. But I think it's more so the mentality, getting up early. Yeah, I know what you mean.
You mentioned Dee and his first touchdown. Knowing the struggles that he went through to start the year, what does it mean to see him finally get his?
Yeah, it was so cool just to see Dee Eskridge get in the end zone. I think that he's worked so hard just to get back. And I know anytime you're injured, it's tough, and he went through some severe stuff, and I really relate to Dee Eskridge because my sister had gone through some stuff, with concussions and everything else. And so, when we got to talk, and he asked me what for advice and everything else, earlier on when he was struggling getting back, I said, I think you need to go to the best guy in the world. and that's where my sister went. I said, I had a very straightforward conversation with him. I said, hey, you need to get the treatment that's going to take care of you, and you need to go. There's a guy named Dr. Manny Danushi down in Florida. He's the best in the world at it, and he fixed my sister. I'm not going to lie. Everybody told my sister she would never play again, multiple doctors and people, and he's amazing. So he went down there, Dr. Manny Danushi. He went down there the first time, just only for a few days, but it's really a 5-day process. So I said, hey, go back there again, and he did. And the training staff here was great too as well, and supportive of him and everything else. And so for him to get cleared and he's such a hard worker, and that was cool. And everybody was celebrating that tonight. So I felt really happy for him. I know he's going to continue to work his butt off. He gets there early every morning. I get to work with him every morning early around 6:15, 6:30 during the season. It's just he wants to be great, and so that's just a start. He's got a lot more to do, but it's just a start.
Practice reps with him, but you haven't gotten many game reps with him, and now it seems like you're starting to look for him a lot more out there. Where do you feel like your chemistry is at with him?
Well, I think my chemistry with Dee Eskridge is great. I think he understands the game. He's working really hard at it. He asks great questions. He's tremendously talented, as you guys saw. He's hard to tackle, too. He made some really key plays tonight. So I felt really pumped up for him tonight.
Russ, you've always gotten results on the field throughout your career. What's it been like for this little stretch here when those results haven't been coming for you as easily and working through that?
Well, I think that it's a long journey. Career is a long journey, and there's, I think every great hitter doesn't go up and have the best hitting performance every time, but you got to watch out if they don't. And so I think that's kind of always been my mentality, approach of sports, and just going for it. I don't ever fear. I don't ever blink. I don't ever blink in the process. And so I had some amazing. I have some amazing teammates too. Guys who were super supportive this week. Just giving me some good energy too as well, and vice versa. And just let's just go for it. Let's just have fun while we do it. And we were able to do that tonight.
I think it's been about a month since you've been back. How much better or different, if at all, does your finger feel now compared to then? Yeah,
I mean, every day I get better. Every day, it's just been a cool journey. This past Friday was the first day I was. They were hoping that I could practice. I practiced 4 weeks before that. So it's I feel great. I feel great. Tonight was a huge night for us, and we made some great plays. The ball came out of my hand great. Every throw of it felt confident and everything else. And I'm glad that I was able to play, because it also allowed me to battle and figure and also challenge me in a great way. And so mentally and physically. So I got better. I got better today, and I get better every day. So it was a good night.
Anything else?
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Go
guys.
Hawks. Yep.